Hi everyone, welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. Another opposition view. The international break is finally over, and I'm really pleased to say I've got one of my absolute favourite guests on. It's Luke from Up the Villa. Luke, thank you for coming back on.
Cheers, mate. It's always a pleasure chatting to you about Villa, Everton, football. So good to be here, mate.
Yeah, if you've been a long-time viewer of the channel, you know we've had Luke on the channel a few times over the past few years. Usually, they're above us and they're absolutely flying high. But at the minute, currently 19th, 2 defeats and a draw. The 0-0 draw with Newcastle, the Brentford one, which really shocked me, and then the Palace one, which is just an absolute. Yeah, you couldn't have predicted that one anyway. But where do you think it's gone wrong so far?
We've had a bit of a tough start with how we're playing. You know, we're sort of like a possession-based team, and teams have sort of just sat in and got a game plan against us. So it's been a bit of a struggle. We've had a lot of off-field problems this summer with especially UEFA and their rules. We all know about PSR, but SCR is the one that has really got us at the minute, and that's squad cost rules within the way in which UEFA use their model to sort of work around football finances. So we've really had to reduce our wage bill, which has been a big problem. So players have been able to leave. We've probably had certain players that we've tried to maneuver out of Villa, and it's just caused a bit of uncertainty. It's not allowed us to sort of attack the transfer window as we would have liked to. We had to sell Jacob Ramsey, a homegrown player, and you know, it's not great when you're having to do that. And then we had Emi Martinez the day of the game against Palace sort of wanting to leave the club, and it's just really unsettling. And so we've had a real unsettling summer, and then we ended the transfer window the day after the Palace game pretty well. We bought in Harvey Elliott on loan with an obligation, so we're going to sign him in the summer. We bought Sancho in, so hopefully he can get back to the Dortmund Sancho, and he was quite good at Chelsea. And we bought in Lindelof, so we've ended off with a good lift, and hopefully that we come back after this break now firing. Really, all of our players that went on international duty. Rodgers was brilliant against Serbia. Tielemans has been bagging goals. McGinn's played well. Matty Cash has been scoring. So it feels like this break has done us good, whereas normally you don't want to have a break, and I imagine you guys didn't want the break, but for us, we needed it. So, yeah, a bit of problem off the pitch, really, which has sort of probably creeped onto the pitch and performances, really. So, not a good start, but hopefully it can pick up.
I had no clue that there've been all those off-field issues with UEFA as well for Villa, and I mean, once again, it's just. I mean, I hate talking about it, but it's another non-Big Six club that's just being punished for something that literally you wouldn't have even thought existed until it happens. It was the same with Crystal Palace, wasn't it, Luke? But oh well, we'll just have to get on with it. So yeah, the business this summer, and you know, Sancho and Elliot as well as one that we talked about on your channel. How happy are you with it? Of course, and the Emi Martinez situation is quite a complex one. He didn't end up going, so what even happens with that now? And are you also, you know, a bit confused with Jack Grealish? Are you surprised Villa didn't maybe try and go in and get him back?
Regarding Martinez, I think he'll probably just slot straight back in like nothing ever happened, and as long as he's showing that his mindset's correct, then Emery will play him. It is disappointing that he sort of wanted to actively leave. You know, that's the disappointing element. There's reports from the Athletic saying that he was waiting by his phone all day on deadline day, hoping that Manchester United came, and they never did. And he got played, basically. He got played by Man United for that Sene Lemens deal. You know, it's classic sort of. They wanted Lemens. He was their main target. It was going a bit quiet. How do you speed up negotiations? Oh, we're going after Martinez. And then the whole thing sort of like like speeded up, and they were able to get them in. So it's disappointing, but one clean sheet, one worldy save, and every Villa fan loves him, and we're calling him the world's number one again. So I think he'll slot in. I think our business in the end, I really like the Harvey Elliott deal. I think he suits Villa. I think he's been a top player for Liverpool. His numbers are great. He just needs to translate that into 90 minutes week in, week out. So that's good. We were crying out for a winger. We let Bailey leave on loan. So Sancho is the winger we've got. And we were able to transform Rashford. And now Rashford's at Barcelona. So, it shows what Emery can do with players that are sort of cut adrift from their teams and a surplus to requirements. So I think the business was good in the end. And then Grealish, I just think we weren't able to match those wages, within what I was talking about earlier, like UEFA's financials, trying to get our wage bill down. We just couldn't sort of spend all that money on Jack Grealish's wages, really. So he's a player that Grealish that I really like. When he left Villa, I didn't want nothing to do with him. I wanted him to lose every final for that first season, and then when he won stuff, it's like you get over it, and you just wish him well. And seeing him play for Everton, and just watching him just brings back the Villa memories, really, of him getting on the ball, driving forward, and being so creative and expressive. And I think you made a good point on our show about sort of that he's able to bring some of the Man City Grealish, because I've seen some of his performances, like, moments where you're under the cosh a bit, and at the edge of the box stuff, he's able to just keep a hold of the ball and just play that perfect pass and relieve pressure. He's a great footballer, and if he can stay injury free, then he's going to be a top. I mean, he's got 4 assists already, and he's only played 3 games, so those numbers are really good. So yeah, I'd have liked him back at Villa. I think he would have suited us on the left, but I just think financial package, we just weren't ever in that sort of ballpark for him, really.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Everton have been quite smart with the way that we've done it. We've learnt from the points deduction situation, I think, and now we're a bit more smart with our finances, and we've waited until we can move around some money, and we've ended up being able to negotiate a deal to get him. But you mentioned on your channel that you've done a prediction video, and you said 10th for Everton this season. Are you still going with that?
Yeah, I actually feel like predicting Everton 10th was quite good and complimentary of the season that I thought you were going to have, seeing the seasons that you have been having. Yeah, I think you can be in that mix 10th to 8th. Those ballpark teams. If everybody stays fit, I mean, you've got some, for me, key players like Ndai. Like, he has to stay fit because he's absolutely quality. Grealish the same. Your new striker, I like the look of. He's quite raw, but I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. Midfield wise, Idrissa and whether you go Irabuna or Ghana, I think that's probably, like, for me, your weakest part of the pitch. So I think they're going to have to stay consistent. But yeah, I think so far you've shown that you're going to be really creative. Drewsbury Hall, what a signing he is, picking up the ball. That link up with Grealish just looks perfect. I think their partnership's just going to blossom all season. Pickford, he's a really good goalkeeper, isn't he? He's quite clutch that, he makes worldy saves, and he's a really good goalkeeper. His distribution's not the best at times. I think he launches it quite a lot, but I think you've got a balanced team, and your bench is good. Tyler Diblin was really a breakthrough player for Southampton, and he's going to be able to grow and get coached by Moyes. And I just think you've got a core group of players that are like a perfect fit for Moyes. I look at Ndai, Grealish, Drewsbury Hall, Diblin. I think those are like Moyes players that he can sort of fine tuning and get the best out of, really. So I think you're going to be an exciting team for a neutral, and then obviously you've got the new stadium added into that as well. That I think is probably going to be like a stronghold for you guys. That you're probably going to be pretty solid. You know, I think in football that unpredictable nature of not knowing what you're walking into can sometimes be quite difficult, and if it does become really hostile and teams struggle there this season, that pattern's probably going to continue as the season goes on. So I'm actually really looking forward to watching Everton this season.
Well, I mean, going into Saturday though, from a Villa point of view, how do you expect Villa to line up going into it?
We've got a couple of injury problems. So midfield is where we've got big problems. Kamara's out, Onana's out, so it'll be McGinn and Tielemans in the middle. Right back, Matty Cash went off for Poland, so I would personally like to see Konsa at right back up against Grealish. I think Konsa 1v1 is very, very good, so that should negate, hopefully, some of Grealish's threat. But up top, I don't know what we'll do. Well, we'll obviously go Watkins and Rodgers will play, but does he bring in Harvey Elliott to start? Does he bring in Sancho? We've got Guesson and Marlon who are in and out the team at the minute. So I think really it's a bit of an unknown because we've started the season pretty poorly, but we are a team that like to try and have control and try and have possession. So I think that's what he'll set us up to try and play like, but it just depends on what personnel he goes with. It's the game against Crystal Palace was just absolutely terrible. I mean, we've not beat Glasner, so the result wasn't something that was not. You know, I expected us to probably lose because we never beat them. So that wasn't sort of the main issue, but it was the way that we played. We were just way off it, and I just hope that we can come together as a team now and look more like an Emery team, to be honest.
And who do you think really were the weak points of Aston Villa's team? Because from an Everton point of view, you mentioned that. Well, you mentioned there was a bit of an uncertainty over who's going to play right back. Do you think that's where the big problem might be, where Everton can expose Aston Villa?
Yeah, especially last season, most teams attacked us down the left-hand side, so it came down our right-hand side. So that's where most teams do it, and that's why I kind of hope he goes with Konsa at right back, because we'll build up with a three at the back, which is something that we're trying to be. We're trying to be like a hybrid three at the back. So I think that's one area. On transition, we get caught, and that's where a lot of goals come from. We get isolated at the back. We've conceded goals like that this season so far. So I think those are the areas where you're probably going to be able to pick us off, really. You know, if Grealish is in space, that's going to be a problem for Villa, and Dye carrying the ball, that could possibly be a problem as well. Set pieces, we're actually pretty good at defending set pieces. We were, I think we were the best team last season in the Premier League at defending and attacking set pieces. So we've got Austin McPhee, set piece coach, who normally sets us up really good from those as well. So I think it's on transition, really. I think if Villa continue with some of the patterns that we've seen, then we're going to have problems against Everton.
And of course, Villa, the second team, or the third team, if you count Mansfield as well, the second league team to travel up to Hill Dickinson Stadium. What are your thoughts on the stadium? How much have you seen on it? You'll have seen plenty online, I'm thinking, but will you be there? Are you looking forward to it? And general thoughts about the stadium?
Yeah, it looks refreshing, to be honest, because you look at most stadiums now that get built and it's a bowl. It's boring. It's got no character. But I get the sort of Dortmund steepness of it, which I imagine if you're in there, it feels a lot bigger than probably kind of what it looks, and it does look intimidating. And you guys at Goodison, probably like not the last couple of times I went, it wasn't really that loud. But when it does get loud, you guys are quite loud fan base. So I imagine it's really intimidating and loud in there as well. So unfortunately, I won't be there. But from what I've seen, it looks really good. And you look at, say, like West Ham fans when they moan about their stadium, it feels like whoever designed it got it right. The architecture on it looks really cool, and I think it suits you as well. I think I look at you guys, and I've got admiration for your fans. I really like the club, and it's traditional, and it still feels traditional. If that makes sense, even though it's new. So yeah, I really like the look of it.
Well, this is one thing that I was trying to get across to away fans last season. In the last season at Goodison, they were all saying that it would be so hard to replicate that sort of feeling. But really, it feels like we've never been away. It feels like we've slotted right into it. And to be honest, I don't think anyone's really, but looking back, going, "Oh, this is nowhere near as good as Goodison," because in every place it is, and the whole infrastructure of it. Dan Mike's the architect has really taken the club to heart, and he's been part of the fan base, I suppose, for the last 5 or 6 years. So it's definitely one that I think has broke the mold a little bit in terms of building football stadiums that you know consultant supporters, the architecture of it, and also just the general way that it's lifted the fan base a bit and given us a bit more hope that we can challenge higher up the league. I think it's definitely a different situation than the likes of West Ham or Southampton or Brighton. So yeah, I think looking at it, I think it's just one of those that a lot of away teams will come to and think, wow, this is Everton. It's unbelievable, because it was quite stale and stagnant at Goodson Park, in my opinion. And the people who claim that it was, the people who talk about the history of it are quite often away teams that have gone there and won. So it's a bit rich coming from them. But let me get a score prediction off you, Luke. I'm not going to predict it, because every time I predict, we get beat. So.
Matt, I'm craving a win. I'm craving a goal. We haven't scored a goal yet. The best it's got is watching our international players do well this international break. I've got to back my team, so hopefully like a 2-1 Villa win. But yeah, I know a certain someone's going to have the game of his life and do really well. So yeah, I'd go 2-1, mate.
Yeah, that's going to be the whole story, sort of running under it. But the usual spiel will come out. This is the oldest fixture, isn't it, in English football? So yeah, it's sure to be a good one. I used to love playing Aston Villa. I hate it now, 'cause you always beat us. But yeah, let all our fans know where we can go and find all your content, Luke.
Yeah, on Up the Villa on YouTube. So type in UTV fan channel and you'll find us, and you'll find Stephen doing his stuff on my channel as well. So jump along to hear what he's had to say about Everton.
Yeah, I had a little chat with Luke about the game on Saturday. But thank you so much for coming on, mate. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again for the reverse fixture. Always nice to catch up with you. And of course, make sure you get your score predictions in the comment section down below. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Toffee Blues, and I'll see you in the next one.